Thank you for tuning in to this special edition of the Vulcan Report. This Vulcan Report is being brought to you on November the 7th, 2016, Monday, one day before the general elections. There's been a lot of talk about these elections. There's been a lot of talk about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. So I'm going to discuss a few things with you that most people have not considered. I need to also point out that the mainstream media is far behind when it comes to uncovering truths, revealing truths, and catching up to what's really going on, and there are multiple reasons for that. I also want to discuss how the alternative media has been co-opted by the mainstream media, and that a lot of the alternative media is actually backed, controlled, and set up and established by the mainstream media. That's what they do. Anything that is opposition is easily and quickly either destroyed, taken out, silenced, or it merges into the Borg. So what we've been seeing lately is the establishment media and the so-called alternative media parroting the same news, the same information, nothing different, word for word in some cases, without even considering the source. Now, how is it that Julian Assange, the Julian Assange show is what I like to call it in WikiLeaks, how is it that this one man supposedly has so much access to so much top secret information? He can just get into all different types of servers and pass through all types of security and all this without any kind of help whatsoever. That would make this man the biggest genius on the face of the earth, the best hacker of all time, if he could do this and not be arrested, not be stopped. When we have hundreds of cases of people who hacked into the FBI databases, NASA, you name it, and almost always they get caught, almost instantly, immediately. Those that don't go to prison are offered jobs working for the government so that they can avoid prison, get a chance to reform your life and work for the government to stop criminals. That's what most of the hackers end up doing. So here we are, we have this Mr. Assange. So he is either the world's greatest hacker or he is something else. Some people argue, well, he's not the one doing it. He just has access. He just has people giving him this stuff. Okay. So that makes him then the best reporter in history, the greatest anchor in history, if you think about it, because he's basically just a journalist bringing you news. He has the best sources, so he's really a newsman. He should be hired as an anchor to run Channel 7 or 9, 4, Fox News, whatever, because he would be the greatest reporter because he has the greatest inside top level government resources, right? No, that is also not the case. What I'm presenting to you today is that Mr. Julian Assange, aka Mr. WikiLeaks, is nothing other than controlled opposition. He has been established. He is an agent. He works for the feds, for the shadow government, the powers that be, and he is an actor. Ever since the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it is okay for the news outlets, the news media, whether it be newspapers, whether it be journals, whether it be magazines, whether it be the local news, ever since they ruled that they can make up stories that do not exist, twist stories that do exist, and flat out lie, and that it's not deemed illegal, ever since the U.S. Supreme Court handed down that ruling some years ago, everything you've seen in the media since has been none other than a script, an actual reality show. Before there was reality TV, there was reality news. There's been numerous documented cases and video of fake news behind green screens pretending to be in war zones and they're not. So the moon landing hoax, of course, is the grandfather of all reality shows. And now here in the modern day times, we have the Julian Assange show, okay, at WikiLeaks. So what happens is we're under this enormous script, and everything you see is being played out with real people acting them out. That's their job. That's why on 9/11, all the local news outlets were parroting the same thing word for word. They do every day. Every piece of news that comes out, there's a script associated with it, and the news outlets get it and they read from it. Enter the teleprompter. The teleprompter feeds the journalist the information to parrot out to everyone else. Everything you read in the paper comes from only one source. At the end of the day, there is only one source for all stories. I don't care if it's the Associated Press or any of that stuff. There's only one source for all news. That source is the federal government. Everyone gets their news from the government. The government tells you and reveals to you what it wants you to know via what it wants the narrative to be, and then it's up to the news outlets to report that narrative, and then to bring on panels of so-called experts that work for them, that are paid for them, to push the narrative forward and break it down and spoon feed it to the general public. So everyone who gets their news gets it from the federal government. The same government that we say that we don't trust, but yet we trust them for everything else. The same government that gave us the 9/11 Commission report, which was nothing but a fairy tale book, but yet the redacted pages that were never released until recently happen to be the truth, right? So the whole book is a lie, but those 20-some pages, those are the truth, though, about Saudi Arabia, right? So that's what we're left with. We're left with nothing more than a show. And you have to ask yourself a question: why are we being presented with this controlled opposition? It looks good, and they have hired Hollywood script writers, and in some cases they've hired crisis actors to play out certain roles and certain scenarios and certain news pieces. So they create the news and then they go ahead and they play it out, and that's what they do. And then we take it as fact and then we run with it. That's what we're supposed to do, right? So as sheeple, that's what they expect, and that's what sheeple do. Enter into the election. Here we have a photo of the so-called Mr. Assange, aka Mr. WikiLeaks, aka controlled opposition agent, talking with another controlled opposition agent. All right, part of the Black Lives Matter movement, part of Mr. Civil Rights himself. All right, here you go. All right, working together, going over the script. Play your role. I'm going to play my role. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And people fall right in line with it, and they are parroting a narrative that was created from a federalized script with the NSA and FBI's help, and the Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security. And here you go. It's right here. And what else do we have? Well, hey, 10 years of WikiLeaks and 10 million so-called documents that have been leaked to all these different topics. They've showed you videos of, military groups, whether they be U.S. Armed Services or some paramilitary group that the Pentagon hired to do its dirty work, gunning down innocent, unarmed civilians, things like that. But you have to ask yourself a question. Is that really what happened? Or did you see what they wanted you to see? Did you not realize that you were probably watching an actual stage, an actual event that happened on a stage? Not a stage in a studio, but in an environmental stage. Remember, they set things up outside. They film things outside all the time. They can make it look really well. Remember, they've hired Hollywood to give you real life looking scenarios, making you think that really things are happening because they're doing it right outside. The world is their stage. They're no longer limited to an actual stage anymore in an actual studio. They go outside with it now. And they're releasing all these documents, right? WikiLeaks releasing all these documents. Very interesting. Enter your president nominee. Supposedly he has all this dirt that's going to destroy this campaign. They have to make it look good. He promised to deliver some stuff at a certain date and time, and then he didn't do it. Again, keeping you holding on to this narrative. It's a soap opera, leaving you with cliffhangers and everything. Everything that you would expect out of a daytime soap opera is what you're getting in the media. They're keeping you entertained. They're keeping you focused on the wrong things. Digging up the so-called dirt. Make it good now. You got to get real dirt. Give the people some dirt. Right? Wrong. Once again, supposedly leaking top secret stuff. Top secret stuff. Top secret means you have to have a top secret security clearance to get it. And even if you have the top secret security clearance, if you don't have the need to know, you're not in the right particular organization, and you don't have the right and access to know, then you're not going to know. Just having the clearance does not guarantee you or give you access to the things you want to have access to. It depends on what agency you're working for, what project you're working on, all that good stuff. All right, everybody is compartmentalized. Don't get it twisted. Again, keeping you confused and your eyes on the wrong things. They want to confuse the people to death when it comes to this election. That's why they're so-called releasing all the bad, nitty-gritty things on one particular candidate in particular. All right, here you have it. All right, they're showing you all these things, the email scandals and money and all this stuff. Okay, you got to ask yourself a question. Why is that? They want to confuse you and muddy the waters and make this election really difficult. Once again, here you have a very good picture illustrating the idea. You see that it's just one beast. Democrat, Republican is all part of the same animal. It doesn't matter. They are the front people for the shadow government. The shadow government's behind the scenes controlling everything. WikiLeaks is the control opposition to give you a little bit of dirt and entertainment on what may be going on behind the scenes, blah, blah, blah. And then the American public doesn't know what to believe. You don't know what end is up. You don't know which end is up. You don't know what's going on. You're just in a state of confusion. Enter the fear stage. Then they want you to fear these people here. This is the wickedest government on the face of the planet. No. No, 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 no. They are not. The country you live in is the wickedest nation on the planet. Enter the fear porn and fear mongering. So if the election wasn't enough, now they want you to be concerned about thermonuclear war, global thermonuclear war, World War III. There's always something for you to be afraid of. If you're no longer afraid of the old narrative, they have to create a new one for you or dig up another old one, which is the worst. What will put fear and panic in the American people like never before and get them to do whatever you want? You scare them to death with the threat of nuclear war, World War III. All right? So they're telling you that the U.S. is going to be nuked. Europe's going to be nuked. The UN is going to be just Iran is here. Everyone has nukes. Why you should care about nukes? Why? Because they could blow you up and your family. That's what they want you to focus on. Focus on the fear of thermonuclear war. If you vote for this candidate, then you're going to get this. You vote for that candidate, you're going to get that. Vote for the wrong candidate, and you're going to get this. All right, you're going to get the mushroom. Here it is, the end of the world. This election is the most important election in the history of all elections, because if you vote for the wrong candidate, this is what's going to happen. A star is going to crash into the planet, and all life will be extinct as we know it. A bunch of foolishness. Then they want you to say, see, look, See, the real threat is coming from Russia. They have the most powerful bombs, make all the other bombs look crazy, look like nothing. Look, here's a little teeny Hiroshima, but look, here's what Russia got. And if they hit us, man, oh my goodness, it's the end of it's Armageddon. Oh my God. Then the other parts of the opposition under the alternative media want you to focus on Israel. Okay, they want you to focus on Israel. Israel's the real boogeyman. All right, that's what they're telling you. But what they're not telling you is that, technically speaking, there is no Israel. These are the Khazars. These are not the real Hebrew Israelites, the original Hebrew Israelites. This is a fact. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is fact. They are not Jews. They're not Jews at all. All right, they stole from the Hebrew Israelite religion. All right, and they are occupying the area illegally, incorrectly. That's what's causing all the beef and the drama over there in the Middle East. The real Hebrew Israelites have not returned as of yet. All right, do yourself a favor, do some research, figure this out. I recommend all of you go and watch the documentary Whitewashed here on YouTube. Educate yourself. The reason why they're showing you all this is because they don't want you to control, they don't want you to focus on this. This is the real reason behind the controlled opposition and all the fake, stupid news to keep you confused and afraid. This is what's coming. This is what they're doing. It doesn't matter who gets in office. It doesn't matter if it's Hillary or if it's Trump or if it's some other person. It's irrelevant. The reason why your votes don't count is because the shadow government rules and regulates everything from behind the scenes. This is what's coming. This control grid is coming. All right. When I say coming, I don't mean, oh, it's going to be some time in the future. It's already here. Coming means it's going to be rolled out worldwide. It's already, they already have all the things that they need to control you. Once they get rid of all the paper money, this is what's going to be left, and it's going to be almost impossible for you to function. I'm telling you, it's already here. It's off the hook. I don't even have time to go into all of this right now. Go and check out my documentary series, There Is No Collapse. I go into it a lot more, and there's a whole lot more that could be said because it's an evolving situation. But this is what they don't want your eyes on. That's why they're constantly pouring out the whole, parading the WikiLeaks foolishness in front of you, because they don't want you focusing on this and seeing that this is being built all up around you, right in front of you, and they want you focused on the wrong things. They don't want you focused on this. All right, they don't want to focus on the top 5 revolutions backed by the Rothschild agent group and Soros. They don't want you focusing on this. All right, they don't want you doing that. They don't want you digging into this. They don't want you to know that Black Lives Matter is funded by these cats. Okay, they don't want you to know this. All right, they don't want you to know this, and they don't want you to do digging and find out that Trump is also in their pockets as well. All right, Trump met with this guy here. He knows all these people. Are you kidding me? Come on. He is not this innocent person coming up running, who's going to bring change. That's what they're telling you, and the alternative media is taking it hook, line, and sinker as well. And they're deceiving you. They're lost too. They're just as lost. They don't even realize what's going on, that this is all a game. All these secret societies are all behind this. Then they want to scare you with even more, telling you the market's going to crash if a certain person is elected. No, the market is going to correct itself because these individuals behind the scenes control it, and that's what they want to happen. That's why they pushed the Dow last week down right near support levels, so that after the election they could bring it down easily and blame it on whatever candidate or whatever reason they want to do it. All right, this is what they don't want you focusing on. All right, this is what's coming. All the police brutality stuff you've been seeing is they're taking what they're, all their test runs, all the things they're doing, all the psyops, and then twisting it so that you don't realize that that's what it is. They'll tell you, oh, it's police brutality, oh, Black Lives Matter, not telling you that, no, this is setting up the new control grid and the militarized police force that's going to come, and it's not going to be the people that they're going to be foreigners. Eventually it's going to be the UN. I deal with this on the There Is No Collapse series. They don't want you focusing and looking up in the air and seeing what's happening how they're already nuking you. They've been nuking us for decades, through the sky mainly, and also through the water supply and the food preparations. And you don't see that because you're not focusing on it. All right, these are facts. You need to educate yourself. All right, this right here is coming. This is part of the control grid. People are already getting these and they're not even thinking about it. They think it's a good thing. They don't realize the nefariousness behind the scenes. All right, I'm telling you guys, do yourself a favor, educate yourself. All right, this right here, he is not your boogeyman. That's a boogeyman they created for you. All right, at the end of the day, he could give a darn about what's going on over here. All right, we need to leave people alone and let them do what they do. All right, and we do what we do. All right, all these different countries have nukes. World War III could break out at any moment. So what? There's nothing you can do to stop it because you're not the one in controlling of it. They didn't call you and ask you, should we go over here and invade this country and take their natural resources? No, they did it and took it upon themselves to do it because of greed. All right? So your vote is not going to lead to this. What's going to lead to this is the dark forces that control our government. This is what they want to bring about. It is a fact. They do want to bring that about. But again, they don't want you focusing on this. This is the end result. This is where everything is headed. This is where everyone is headed. To here. All right? This is true. Prepare to surrender all liberty, now entering fascism. That's what's happening. That's the end game, folks. Everyone wants to know what's going to happen after the election. What's going to happen to the markets? The same thing that's been happening to the markets. More massive manipulation. Educate yourself. Learn the algorithms so that you can profit. Because at the end of the day, that's what you need to focus on. Taking care of you and your family. You need to profit as much as possible so you can stack your gold and silver and all the things you need to survive and get through whatever mess that they're planning to bring upon you that you can't do anything about. All you can do is manage the outcome. So with that said, remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So take what you can, give nothing back in these markets. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to this special edition of the Vulcan Report. This Vulcan Report is being brought to you on November the 7th, 2016, Monday. One day before the general elections. There's been a lot of talk about these elections. There's been a lot of talk about WikiLeaks and Julian Assange. So I'm going to discuss a few things with you that most people have not considered. I need to also point out that the mainstream media is far behind when it comes to of cases of people who hacked into the FBI databases, NASA, you name it. And almost always they get caught, almost instantly, immediately. Those that don't go to prison are offered jobs working for the government so that they can avoid prison. Get a chance to reform your life and work for the government to stop criminals. That's what most of the hackers end up doing. So here we are. We have this Mr. Assange. So he is either the world's greatest hacker or he is something else. Some people argue, well, he's not the one doing it. He just has access. He just has people giving him this stuff. Okay. So that makes him then the best reporter in history. The greatest information, nothing different, word for word in some cases, without even considering the source. Now, how is it that Julian Assange, the Julian Assange show is what I like to call it in WikiLeaks, how is it that this one man supposedly has so much access to so much top secret information? He can just get into all different types of servers and pass through all types of security and all this without any kind of help whatsoever. That would make this man the biggest genius on the face of the earth, the best hacker of all time, if he could do this and not be arrested, not be stopped. When we have hundreds uncovering truths, revealing truths, and catching up to what's really going on, and there are multiple reasons for that. I also want to discuss how the alternative media has been co-opted by the mainstream media, and that a lot of the alternative media is actually backed, controlled, and set up and established by the mainstream media. That's what they do. Anything that is opposition is easily and quickly either destroyed, taken out, silenced, or it merges into the Borg. So what we've been seeing lately is the establishment media and the so-called alternative media parroting the same news, the same anchor in history, if you think about it, because he's basically just a journalist bringing you news. He has the best sources, so he's really a newsman. He should be hired as an anchor to run channel 7 or 9 for Fox News, whatever, because he would be the greatest reporter, because he has the greatest inside top level government resources, right? No, that is also not the case. What I'm presenting to you today is that Mr. Julian Assange, aka Mr. WikiLeaks, is nothing other than controlled opposition. He has been established. He is an agent. He works for the feds, for the shadow government, the powers that be, and he is an actor. Ever since the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that it is